Hello everybody and welcome to Pet Care Magic. I'm sorry it's hot and I've just washed my hair. I am going to do a somewhat live grooming demonstration today of a baby puppy. He's between 9 and 10 weeks of age. And this is Black Boy. He's been up on this table before. This is my collapsible show crate done here because my proper grooming table doesn't fit near the camera. So he's as you can see, he's quite settled being up there. This is not a new place for him. And the big thing about grooming baby puppies, or any dogs for that matter, is that it's important that they be up at your height. Trying to groom a dog when they're down low and you're like hovering over them is not pleasant for them. This is not really the ideal sort of setup for homeowners or even professional people. My professional table is a nice gas hydraulic lift. But it's really important that they're up at your level because you've got much more control of them. See how my arm is around him? That's one of the reasons he's feeling so safe up here, because he's feeling secure. Baby puppies, you never ever walk away from them. There's a minute you walk away from them, they can take a nosedive off a table, and you can end up with a broken neck, broken back, a very, very upset puppy, a very, very damaged puppy. The other thing is this needs to be a nice non-slip surface. This does have a good non-slip surface on it, but even though this is supposedly non-slip, it's still not that good for puppies. So I do tend to put other coverings over the top of it. But being at their level is very important. Normally I wouldn't be grooming sitting in a chair. This is obviously all for the video's sake. So baby puppies, and this, as I said, 9 to 10 weeks old. This is not one I prepared earlier. So he hasn't had a brush near him for at least a week, probably a little bit more. This is a Grip Soft Slicker brush. We sell them on the Pet Care Magic websites. Soft enough that the puppies don't find them too adversive, but not that soft that you're not going to be able to get a good snag at any snags, any light knots that might be on the coat. And I tend to brush upwards. This boy is what's called an F1B cavoodle. So mum is a full-bred. Mum is a full-bred cavalier that was mated to a full-bred miniature poodle. So she's an F1 cavoodle. Then I mated my full-bred miniature poodle to her to produce the F1B. So he's much more poodle than he is cavoodle, and the coat is reflecting that. So brushing, the best way to get a good result, and this is not a full-on brush that is going to get up here because I normally, I can't do that and present to the video and be in the right positions for him. But see how I'm brushing against the layer of the coat? If I'm doing this, all I'm tending to do is brush over the top of any snags that might be there. This boy is, he's a baby, so there isn't many snags there. But this will be picking up any minor knots that are starting to form. It won't pick up and do anything about any major knots. So once you've done some brushing, you always want to take the comb. This is a fairly standard groomer's comb. It has more closer together tines and more further apart tines. And if you've brushed properly, then your comb should go the whole way through. Just be careful if you haven't brushed properly and it catches on it. It can be a bit upsetting, particularly for a baby. So he's still tolerating this fairly well. Babies have a short concentration span, so you're not going to get too far with him. And it's when you've got a coat as fluffy as his, you sometimes want to be coming up off the coat. I'll show you some other videos I did prepare earlier for tips and tricks on combing out, brushing out and combing out the ears and tail, because it's almost impossible to do in this sort of setup. See how happy he is? There's a good boy. There's a good boy. If you can, it's always a good idea to either have a handler who's standing there with some treats. Someone's just having fun with something in the background. It's the other puppy pushing around an empty milk bottle, which they love to push around on the concrete floor. Sometimes you can have a handler, another person standing there with a bit of peanut butter on a either on a finger or on a spoon. If you've got a pup that's being a bit unsure about being up here, as I say, this boy's been up here a fair bit. So a good breeder will be introducing their puppies to grooming from 4 weeks of age. And part of one of the things they should be doing is this: a lot of touching, holding, manipulating. See, he's not at all phased by it. So what I'm doing is pushing the hair back away from the nails, touching all the individual nails, just teasing them out. I'm not clipping them at this stage. See how he's just like, I've done this most nights, for day after day after day. And he's just going, yeah, that's fine. I'm used to that. I'm used to that. I'm used to this. I'm used to this being moved up and down, out and about and round about. And all 4 legs. And stand up, Bubby. Stand up, Bubby. He's not used to being stood up. He's used to all of these sorts of movements happening to him. So, yeah, that's all okay. Yeah, I'm used to all that. The other big one, you can sit down now, sweetie. Sit down now. Sit down now. Good boy. The other one we do a lot of is holding the face. See how my hands are just taking that? You can't probably see it on this boy. I'll show you on another pup in a minute, and you'll see it on some of the videos. But getting them used to stuff being taken out of the corner of their eyes. That's something, again, I do every day. Getting them used to the head. He's not fighting me. He's not 100% sure about it, but he's not fighting me over it. I'm grabbing the mustache gently. I'll show you another video as we get through into this of what I call my soft hands video, and that demonstrates a lot. So just manipulating them. Now he's just getting a little bit fed up with it. What are you doing? It's all very lightly, and it must be done often, and it must be done from a very young age. So you hear a lot around the groups, and people will say, my puppy's 7 months old, should I be taking it to a groomer? Well, I'm awfully sorry. It should have been getting used to grooming way before 7 months of age. 7 months of age is the first fear period in puppies. And if you take a baby puppy into a brand new situation with a groomer, particularly if you're in my puppy hasn't been vaccinated and therefore can't go near anyone can, and you take them into a groomer's at 7 months of age, it's an accident waiting for a place to happen. Now, I do know that this little boy has a very unpleasant backside. So holding the tail, my hand is under here, holding the tail up. I did notice when he was outside yesterday, he was, there it is, it's yucky. So I want to clip out his backside because he's been getting a bit of poo put up there. I don't do it today in terms of being in front of the camera, but by this age they should also have had the clippers turned on near them. They should also have had exposure to the noise of a dryer. And if you go on you're on YouTube now, but if you go and have a look on the rest of the YouTube channel, you'll find those sorts of videos all around. Now, I am a certified groomer. I'm no longer working professionally. I'm off doing other things, and I'm a little bit too old to be running a salon anymore. So I use this for me is a very short scissor. My other scissors are like that long. Now, that's okay. I really do know where the top end of my scissors are going to be, no matter what I'm doing with the bottom end. But don't start with such a long scissor when you're not experienced, particularly when you're anywhere near the face. You can get scissors that have rounded tips on them. I'm not a lover of them. They're too short for me. But aim for something like a 4-inch or a 5-inch scissor. And these scissors do nothing but scissor your dog. Don't use the ones for your, your dressmaking, or the ones that the kids are cutting up plastic and all the rest of it. They have got to be very, very sharp. And therein lies the risk, because they are got to be so sharp, they can do damage. And I'm going to have to go back and wash this bottom, because there's a lot of yucky stuff in there. I actually will shave him out later on, because they're at the age where they've been eating a little bit of different food. We're getting a slight bit of not so well-formed food. So as you can see, he's standing very nicely still. This is what you want your baby puppies to do, to be up here and to be not too phased by it all. Now, my feet and hands haven't gone away from him, just in case he then decides, I've had enough of this and I'm going to get down. Right. Now, the other thing that's important to get them very used to is having eyes trimmed. So what I've done is I've pushed the hair back. I've got a finger under the chin. I'm not really at the right height for this. But see how I'm lying the scissors like that? So don't go in like that, because if the puppy freaks and comes at you, you're gonna take an eye out. Always have your scissors like that. And this is where it's particularly important to have a very a shorter scissor that you can handle. Even when I'm doing eyes, I tend to come to these shorter scissors. Yeah, that's opened up the eyes quite a bit, particularly on this black boy. Other side, turn the head around. Just watch your ankles. Now, if you're not proficient around the face, get someone else to hold the dog, because they really have got to be quite stable. Not stable, that's not the right word. They've got to not be jiggling around on you when you're doing face. Even when I was professionally grooming, and if I had a baby puppy that was really jumping up and down and going all over the place, then I would get my off-sided to hold it. See how that's much better now, because the eyes are all there. You can't see the black dog with that light. What? Now see how he's yawning every so often? He's not tired. In dogs, the yawn is a sign of stress. Particularly in this sort of circumstance. Yes, it is also a sign of I'm tired, but in this circumstance, it's a sign of stress. They tend to yawn. So that might be enough for him. What I'm going to do is put him down. There's a good boy. Nice big cuddles. There's a big cuddles for being such a good boy. 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 It is. Now that's by no means a full groom, but that's enough just for the moment. Here's a good boy. Where's your sister? Where's your sister? Done, sweetie. Yes, I know, Mum. I know, Mum. Here he is. Here he is. So what I'm going to do now is just show you a quick video of, I mentioned brushing the ears and the tail, and it's a little good technique I have for brushing the ears and tail that will allow you to not, particular when you get ears and tail on an older dog that's often quite congested with knots and things, because that's where they get the knots. What we tend to do is we get the comb in there and we tend to try and drag the knot off. So what you do is you hold the base of the ear and the base of the tail, and it's much easier to work those knots out. So shared screen. I had trouble with this the other day, and I'm still having trouble with it. Not many comments around the groups about how do you brush the doodle. This is Callie, and she's 14 weeks. So this is, oops, got hair in it. I was brushed it the other day. This is a Prestige. This is actually the mother of that pup I just had up there. So this is taken a long time ago. It was back in She's 14 weeks, so she's now three and a bit, nearly 4.
Pet, sorry, it's from Prestige Pet, but it's by a company called Gripsoft, and you'll find the Gripsoft brushes are available in most good pet shops. I think you can also find them online, or you can definitely find them online. So the trick is, people will get a brush and they'll hold it, a bit hard to see in the video, they'll hold it like that and they'll do this, which is not really terribly effective. Now, I also need to add, this is Kayleen's second time on the table. First time was the other day. So as you can see, I've got a harnessed up. This is a professional hydraulic lift grooming table, but a good point is you've got much more control over your dog when they're up at your level than you do when they're down on the ground and you're hanging over them, or they're on a chair or somewhere. So as you can see, I've got a lightly harnessed up. Professional grooming, we usually have body straps around them, but I know she's not going to get away. So hold your brush like that, and you brush against, this is not usually the right angle I do it in because I do it for the video, brush up against the lay of the coat, okay? Once you're brushing, if you're brushing down, you're tending to run over the surface. Now, she's not very knotty, which is good. I'll show you in the next video what happens with my miniature poodle, who's much older and has got some knots. So I'm just holding her head gently and I'm brushing up. Make sure you hold their hands, their feet. And it's a really soft stroke. You don't want a hard stroke. As you can see, my fingers have now gone out to the end of the brush. It's a really soft stroke. If they're starting to react to it, then either the pins are too hard. These have got like a rounded tip to the top of them. Do not buy cheap and nasty slipper brushes. They are cheap and they are nasty and they hurt the dog. So just gently against the lay of the coat to make sure that you're getting all the knots out. And then at the end, it's when we lay the coat down properly. Now, right at the end there, she's still teething, so she's still using her mouth. Right at the end there, I'm right on the edges of the coat. I'm not in the top of the coat. Jump on the eye, I've noticed. So these are the combs that most professional groomers find quite useful. 2 widths of what we call tines, the wider ones and the narrow ones. Doing anything with ears, hold the base right up here near the top, so that you're not, because if you're not holding the base, what you're doing is you're pulling that whole ear away from the head. So if you put your fingers there, and then all you're doing is brushing the ear, and also, as you can see, I've cradled her against, it's hard to see, but I've cradled her up against me, so she's feeling safe and secure. And then I'm brushing just right down on the edges. When I know there's no knots, I can feel secure about brushing, about combing, I should say not brushing, about combing without holding. But initially, you comb and you hold. The same thing also goes for tail. Hold it here, right here at the base of the tail, and then brush the tail. That's a kill. That's a good kill. And make it fun. When I've got really tiny baby puppies and I know that they're going to play up a little bit, I'll be wearing my back pouch, which I'm just looking to see whether it's around. No, it's not here at the moment. Just sits on my waist with a little bit of something nice in it. I often use cheese or cabanossi or Devon. Tiny, tiny little bits of it. And I'm just keeping them focused on what I want them to do. So when you're doing the face, I've got a very gentle hold right around her mouth. Now, I've been practicing that hold on her for quite some time. I just sit there at night and I will just hold her like that. She's a baby. She's not that keen on it. But it's got to be really what I call soft hands. She's a kill. You eating the brush. You eating the comb. Okay, here's my...
Okay, so this is Cece. I thought Cece might give us a better opportunity to see this face. a bit more. So hold this up there. She's got a bit of gunk around her eyes, like all baby puppies do. As I said, same scissors. Now this isn't 100% ideal for the camera, but too bad. It's the dog that's important here, not the camera. And just take out that gunk, because all this eye gunk gets caught up in the hair that's there around that corner of the eye. This side. Whoops. Now all my pups are really, really used to fingers around their eyes, because that's what I do daily. I still do it daily on the older dogs as well. I've tried all of the various, there's lots of concoctions out there, chemicals and things you can use on tear stains. Callie, their mum, gets more of a tear stain than these guys get. I don't like all the chemicals, particularly not around the eye, and I find that just keeping that hair away from the corner and doing a daily check and removing anything that's getting up in there is in my opinion a much better way to do it. So same thing again, brushing up. She's had not quite as much time on the table, and she's a little bit more of a out there girl than her brother is. And she wasn't that happy because she was the one chasing the milk bottle a minute ago. He says, but that was fun. I've got to come up here and leave my milk bottle alone. You do? Yes, you do. But it's a good chance to make you have a little go up here, because I tend not to brush you as much, do I? No, you're not hopping off. You're not hopping off. What, Callie? You want to come up, Callie? Come on, Callie. Come, Callie. Callie, here. Cows. Come here. Up you come. You want to come up? Mum wants to get up. Oh, I'm sorry, darling. Did I pinch? There we go. She normally can get up here on the table, but not because of where I've got a position for the camera. There we go. There's Mum. Coming up to say hello. Coming up to check on what's going on up here. Good girl. Light brush. Brush, when they're this young, you should be brushing often. Just little light brushes, maybe at least every day. She doesn't need it because she's not getting any knots. I can't feel any knots. But it just gets them used to the whole process. But their backsides do need a little bit of work. Just get them used to the whole feel of things. The equipment going over them. And the actual, the manipulation that's going to happen to do the grooming process. Now still for me. Good girl. Good girl. Yes, your turn in a minute, Callie. I'm going to do your eyes too. That feels like a few light snags happening there around the bottom. And that's what these slickers are really great for, getting these light snags out. So how does a knot form? A knot forms because a bit of something gets in there, a bit of dirt, or a bit of, a leaf or a stick or something, and it forms a slight snag, and then the slight can't talk this afternoon. The slight snags then become bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then the snags all join up to become mats, and then the mats they start in one spot and then they just get more and more and more and more. So you've got to get to them when they're light snags, because if you ignore the light snags, the light snags become matting, and then the matting becomes all over body matting. And when I hear people say, but the groomer had to shave it all off because they couldn't brush it out, then that means you haven't brushed out for a long time. It doesn't mean you forgot for the last couple of days. It means you have not brushed out much at all. And the more you brush, the more you're going to get rid of those light snags, and those light snags are not going to become matting. Now, it does depend on the coat. Some coats matte more than others. Because these guys are 3/4 poodle, you're going to get less matting because it's got more poodle in the coat. And poodles, contrary, don't matte near as much as cavoodles do. The cavoodles is a much more, a cavoodle with just, Cavalier cross poodle is a higher maintenance coat than a purebred poodle. To stop your puppies moving, see that hole there? That's the stifle joint. So my whole fingers are around there, one around there, one around there. She literally can't go anywhere. She's not upset by it, and I have control. The other good hold is the same, but up here around the elbow. She's not so keen on that. Okay, finished, puppy? Finished, pups? Have you finished, puppy? Have you finished? Hang on a sec. Whoa. Hang on. Yes, hang on. Hang on. Mummy's got nothing for you anymore. She's all dried up. The other really spot you've got to keep an eye on is in here under the armpits. Not so much these, but that's where I really have to keep an eye on Callie, because she gets quite congested under the armpits. Okay, Bubby, that might be enough for you. You hop down. I want to talk to Mummy for a minute. Hang on a sec. Let me just see this. Let me just take just a little bit off here. So we're going to open those eyes up a bit more. Leaving the lashes. Beautiful long lashes. Now show me. Good girl, show me. Good girl. Show me this side. Now, still. Good girl. Okay, one hop down. You hop down now. And go back to your milk bottle. Callie, stay. So Callie gets more of a tear stain than does the babies, because she's the blonde coat. So I'm cutting out that tear stain. Not all of it. Some groomers will do this by actually shaving in there. I just don't have the clippers out at the moment, and I'm not real keen on shaving right up in there in the eye. And this side. She's a little bit too tall for me. And this side, darling. Good girl. See, always the scissors are going across that way. Okay, sweetie. Now, you saw her a minute ago in the, what did I say she was, 13, 14 weeks. So I'm still holding the ear. She's quite good about having ears done, because she's never had badly snagged. She gets rubbish up there in the ears, trust me. She gets knots in the ears, but I always hold the ear and brush out. Same with this side. Hold the base of the ear and brush it. Okay, that might be you finished now. You finished? Do you want to hop down? You want to start there? You want to start there? Or do you want to hop down? Do you want to hop down? Want to hop down? Big jump. Okay, hang on a minute. Okay, down you go. Okay, so the last video I want to show you is what I call, just trying to move this out of the way, what I call the soft hands demonstration. Just going to go back on it a little bit. And it was taken quite some time ago. In fact, I think, give me guys. This was done back in 10 years ago now. So this is the father of these pups that I just had up there. And I was demonstrating what I mean when I call them soft hands. And a groomer needs to have a handhold that is firm yet soft. And that's really, really hard to explain. The animal gets the idea and understands that they're not being forced to be put into a hold or being forced in a hold. They're being invited to move their, their leg or their face or their body or whatever it is. And part of the big thing we have to think about is what's in our heads when we're doing it. The more we fight with, excuse me a minute. Tabby, come here. Callie, come here, please. Callie, come here. Quick. Come on. Callie, come. Callie, come. Callie, come here. Quick. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Okay, that was a quick demonstration of how to stop barking. Callie, no. Come here. Come on. She's barking at next door. Called her away. Praised her when she came away. Callie, come. Callie, come. And try to call her when she's not barking. Callie, come here quick. Oh, Banjo. Banjo's brought me. Banjo wants in on the action. He's my male party poodle, so he just brought the hamburger over for me to throw. Sorry, I'm getting distracted here. So soft hands. Good girl, Callie. Stay here. Don't park it next door when I'm on the video. If all else fails, put her on the lead. Soft hands. When we fight with an animal, or when we're getting frustrated with an animal and they're not doing what we want them to do, our muscles tense. The muscles tense all the way up our shoulder, our jaws clench, our entire demeanor becomes more tight. And the animals can feel that. So when that happens, they then start to fight you more. So what I tried to do with this soft hands demonstration was teach you about the breathing techniques and the way to try and not have clenched muscles, because the clenched muscles, the more rapid breathing, the tightness in all our muscles and the energy going out from all that will transmit down to the dog. And the angrier you get and the more you fight with a particularly a younger dog, the worse off you're going to get. And so that's what I always say to groomers is remember that if you're going to fight with a dog, then put them away until you don't need to fight anymore, or get a second handler in, or use other techniques we have like various restraint systems, humane restraint systems to stop the dog from moving around too much. So here's the soft hands demonstration.
Here's my demonstration of what I mean by soft hands. Here's a hand, common old garden variety hand. I have two of them, thank God. So when we go to grab something, we automatically start putting our hand into a claw, which tenses up the muscles here and up here on our elbow, right up here into our shoulder and neck, and I would think, depending on what we're thinking about, probably right up here into our face as well. Because we've got to make the claw and we've got to actually grab the thing. So when we go to a dog, I can already feel I've got quite a stiff bit of muscle right here. And he's starting to lick already. Because he's going, what the heck are you doing? He can see the tension in my arm. And that's getting him a little bit unsure. As against a soft hand. This is a soft hand. It's, quite soft. Glad there's no guys here because I can imagine the comments. But and when I go across to him, see the difference in the dog? He says, oh, that's a hand that's just coming across to touch me. It's not a hand coming across to grab me. See how he's accepted that? This is the dog that I found really taught me a lot about holding. So stand up for me, mate. Stand up. Up for me. He says, what are you doing? What are you doing? And so if I go across to him, and I've got this nice, relaxed, loose hand, see how as I put my hand across to him, I'm going to do it now, do the you go. I actually haven't got his, if I grab his hand and do that, automatically I can feel the dog tense up. Now, he's reasonably trained, but not 100%. He's not nearly as good as Louis that we saw in the other videos. So, I've across here, And see how soft the hand is? I come down here, there's the pad on the back, and I just gently pick it up, and he goes with me, as distinct from this, and see how I've got it hold, and already the dog's going, what are you doing, what are you doing, what are you doing? So whenever we're holding, if we can hold gently, I'm not getting that opposition reflex that the dogs would like to put in, because I'm just gently holding, and I'm putting down. I'm putting back over again, and again, so he won't pick it up now. He's now going a little bit, what are you doing? As I say, this dog's not that trained for this. And I gave a gentle touch, and the dog went, okay, and started to come with me, as distinct from me grabbing and asking for it. And automatically he's going, what are you doing? So we'll try on this side. Again, nice soft hand. Out we go. And the minute my hand's down there, he's already, it's possibly hard to see on the video, but the minute my hand goes down there, he already goes slightly more up on his toes, preparatory to actually me just gently asking for the leg to come up. Front legs is where you're going to have more of an issue. Back legs tend to be better. And again, whenever I'm moving, it's a soft hand move. And I just push enough. Horse people know very much about it. If you push, most animals move away from the push. So I want to push here and move it slightly back. And I want to push here and move it slightly forward. So back legs are generally, you've got, again, see how I've got a really nice, soft touch on this dog? And he just wanted to take his hand away from me then, so I let him. I don't want to force him to stay there. He's staying there quite nicely now, so I let him go. And then I pick him back up again. You're a good dog. He's a good boy. Oh, he's a good boy. No face. No face. No face. We don't find the eyes. It's a bit of fun. I don't tend to use a lot of treats when I'm grooming. It's just a little bit messy. Most dogs don't accept it, even when I'm grooming on my own dogs. I tend to do more of this. Let's take this down a bit so you can see. I tend to do more of the massage. So it's still too bright. I tend to do more of this sort of massage. And if I do have a dog that's a bit iffy over the legs, turn on those, mate. A massage, turn on those for me. A nice massage.
So I'm talking here very much about an older dog, but the massage, the soft hands, the movements, the way you approach grooming, doesn't matter whether they're old or young. If you start with all of these processes as a very young dog, you're going to have a dog that loves being groomed. And that's important with a cavoodle or any of the oodles, including poodles. It's very important that they love what is happening.
I would normally be doing it with the other hand, but I want to hold this hand in the same position. A nice massage there, like this, and I'm doing wiggly fingers. Nice massage down the leg. So I'm increasing the pressure at which I'm actually touching the leg. He's doing a little bit of lip licking, which is he's not quite 100% sure, because I'm doing things a bit differently. Is that good? Is that good? Is that so good? Is that so good? See? Is that so nice? And that time I actually put my hand down, and before I gave a signal, he'd already started to. It's when we don't think about it, and I don't think about it. He actually had his leg up in mine before I even got down to the bottom of the leg. And he's not comfortable with. I've also got this hand over here on the other side, just supporting that leg while I pull this one out. Because they do get a little bit unstable in the back end if you pull it out. So you should be able to go that way, this way. Getting in under here is really groomer's choice. I do tend to get in under there by doing this, here on my chest. He's not used to me doing that. Here on my chest, so that the pad is actually supported here somewhere and they don't feel like their foot's sort of sitting out in midair. But again, I've got the leg, the hand, again, a soft hold. That was probably, I tend to tense up.
You won't get a baby puppy's leg to raise that high. A, it's a function of the height of this dog. And B, also, I would never take the hip joint of a baby puppy up as high as that. I would tend to raise the entire back end of a baby puppy, and it's been a while since I've watched this, but I think that's probably the next hold I'm going to do.
And the more you think about it, the more you worry about it, the more you tense up. It's quite a soft hold here on the stifle joint. And then you can get in under there, do what you need to do. Front legs, this way, that way, that way. Young dog, of course, has got quite a good extension of movement. Older dogs don't. And of course, getting in underneath, up on the front, whiz, 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 click, 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 and down again. Everything I'm doing is quite slow and soft, and I'm thinking slow and soft while I'm doing it. I know there's 20 dogs waiting to be done, and I'm booked silly, and the next job is half an hour away, and I should have been there 20 minutes ago. Oh, he's got a nasty knot on his ear. But it's soft. It's still firm, but it's soft. Lift, lift, foot. Good boy. Now, as I was saying on the Facebook post last night, I never shut up. So, where's your foot? Good boy. Other foot. Good boy. See how he actually, that time, he actually changed his weight. As I went to my hand over here, he put, and he did it again there, it might be hard to see on the video. As I put my hand over there, he transfers his weight to this leg, preparatory to lifting this foot, and that's how I know that he's working with me. I'm not sure which way he's got his weight. Foot, mister, foot, good boy. Okay, where's your ears? Where's his? Oh, nasty knot, let's get that out. Where's his? Where's face? Good boy. Where's tail? Where's tail? Where's tail? Turn around and show tail. Turn around and show tail. Good boy. There's tail. There's foot. There's foot.
So, you know, this was obviously for the sake of the demonstration on the video, but calling a body part the name, where's your tail, where's your face, where's your ears, where's your foot. I do that a lot because I just generally can't shut up, but also it gives the dog an idea of what I want, what I'm used to doing and what I'm about to do next. When I'm not doing it now, but for many years I was a mobile groomer, and I first found this a dog called Shifty, really, really big Labrador, and I mean super-sized Labrador, about 1.5 times a Labrador, and I was mobile, so Shifty would come into the back of the van, and Shifty was groomed every fortnight from the time he was a baby puppy to the time when I closed the business down, when he would have been about 13. And every time I did something with Shifty, I used the same word. In you go, into the tub, into the back of the van. And unbeknownst to me, I didn't realise it for years, but apparently when I wanted to do the other side of him, so you're in a, I don't have the video on me, but you're in a mobile grooming van, so you've got the tub and like scrub, 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 scrub on this side. Because it's a mobile grooming van, you can't go round to the other side of the dog. So what you need them to do is you need them to turn so that you can scrub, scrub, scrub this side. And I didn't realise it. I must have been, they'd say, round you go. And I don't know, I never shut up. So around you go. And what Shifty worked out after a while, it didn't take him very long, a couple of years maybe, that I would say round you go, no hands on him or anything, and the dog would just turn around for me and present the other side to me. I discovered that also, I mentioned a couple of times in this video. There's another video on my YouTube channel, a dog called Louie, and I clipped Louie. Louie was a white, creamy coloured poodle, and I clipped Louie every six weeks for like years. And I would say left foot, Louie would raise his left foot, right foot, Louie. And I started that by saying left foot as I put my hand down, right foot as I put my other hand down. And Louis learned left foot meant left, and I would got to the stage where I would say left foot and not even touch him, and Louis's left foot was already up. And I'd say put it down, and he'd put it down. And then I'd say right foot without even touching him, and the right foot would come out. What we don't realise is that dogs are associating what we say with every single body language action we do. Would you like a treat? And you're walking to the cupboard. Let's get dinner, and you're walking towards their dinner bowls. We think they know the words. They don't know the words. They know the body language. And every time you're doing something, so when I'm grooming and I'm doing regular dogs, regular times, day after day after day, your own dogs, or whether you're a groomer and it's your client's dogs, name the action. Doesn't matter what the words are. You can say kerfuffle for all the dogs will care, but I would say tail, and the dogs, you'll find if you do it often enough, the dogs will start presenting their tail to you. Ears, the dogs will start presenting their ears to you. Head, and the dogs will start presenting their heads to you. That's the point I'm sort of trying to make here. It's talking not for the sake of talking, it's the sake of the dogs are understanding what you're doing. It's you're communicating with the animal. And when you're communicating effectively with the animal, that's when you're going to have a much easier process of whatever you need to do with them. It's about training. Every time, every minute of every day, including when you're asleep, you are training your dogs. Trust me. And all of that communication adds up time after time after time after time, and the dogs they get on your wavelength, particularly if you're living a close life with your dogs. I'm not sure what's left in this video.
Good boy. Okay, and I'm starting to play with him a little bit too much. So that'll give you a bit of idea. So I set a nice, soft, relaxed hand. And if you've got dogs that are not sure about things, do a fair bit of this. Just putting your hand over there and giving them a chance to find out what it is. Because if we start over here and we're straight in like that, invariably going to get the dogs are going to fence. So, what is the hand? What's it doing? And the owners can do this at home. All this sort of thing. We just don't want them fighting with the dog. See, again, he did the same thing. The minute I put my hand down here, he moved his weight onto this side, preparatory to me picking up this foot. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. It is. It is with the foot. Mister, foot. Good boy. Foot. Foot. No, you don't know that game? Colin does. Foot. Foot. No, you're just going to leave. Okay.
It's not hard to lose belly fat if you do the right thing.
Yeah, I disagree with you there, darling. But anyway, so stop sharing. So that's enough for today. I hope you've found some of that information useful. I think my major point is have fun. Do it often, do it regularly, have fun, enjoy what you're doing, and be calm and collected about it. And that will show up in having animals, particularly your dogs, cats, very much the same as well. Having your animals that actually want to be groomed, to enjoy the process that's going on. So have a great day. It's Friday afternoon here where I am on the mid-north coast of New South Wales. Have a great weekend, everybody, and I'll catch you next time.